What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today we have another regional sport, and this time around we have Joe. Now, before we get into the interview and everything, I just want to let you know, at the start of the interview, you're going to see my screen flicker back and forth. I had the wrong setting on, and I just didn't notice it until I started recording, and I apologize for that. It's not that bad. You'll see what I'm talking about when the thing starts. But Joe actually has 3 regional support to talk about. He talked about I hope I don't say these names wrong, but I probably will. Huddersfield, Sutton Cottonfield, or Sutton Coldfield, Cottonfield. What? I guess because Huddersfield, Cottonfield, Sutton Coldfield, I guess, and then London. I'm not sure how to say the second one or the first one. Huddersfield and Sutton Coldfield. Everybody's probably going to laugh because I probably said those wrong. But, like I said, he played 3 different weekends, and every weekend he played a different deck, which is pretty cool. He tells why in the interview as well, why he played that. And the first weekend, he actually played this Mega Sceptile deck. Now, when I did my Mega Sceptile deck, I actually played Mega Turbos, and that's pretty much the difference. I think I actually played Lugia as well, but you can see his list is totally different. He played Super Scoop Ups, and he talks about that. He talks about the Vrizian with the price count 40. If you have more prizes left than your opponent, you do 80 more damage, or if your opponent has taken prize cards and you have it, you can do 120, and he gives a good reasoning behind that. Everything else is pretty much straightforward, except the Super Scoop Up and the Vrizian, but he gives pretty good reasons behind those. And if you give me one more second, we'll see his second week deck. So for week 2, he actually played a Scythed Giratina deck. Pretty straightforward, nothing too crazy. A lot of people thought that Scythed Giratina was going to go away when Standard came out, or when expanded, when we went to Standard, basically. And if you don't know, all these regionals were Standard. That's why Sceptile with none, like, you didn't see any second words or in, or no Juniper, no ends, and it's all 3 Standard, so make sure you keep that in mind. But everybody thought that Scythed Giratina would get pretty destroyed coming into Standard. But we see that he actually did make top 8 with Scythed Giratina. I'm not going to tell how far he gets in each one of those. You got to make sure you pay attention to those. And like I said, it's pretty straightforward. The Bumblebee is a really cool thing in this deck, not only to get back your energies and certain item cards, but he gives a really good reason why to play the Bumblebee. Make sure you pay attention. And also in each one of these, we talk about stuff for Breakthrough, so make sure you pay attention to those and to help you out in cities if you want to learn more about Breakthrough. He has been testing because he does have a regionals this weekend, which Breakthrough is legal, so we talk about those. And if you give me one more second, we'll talk about his third deck. Alrighty, so for week 3, he did another whole 180. He changed his whole deck up, and you see this time around he played an Yveltal Vespiquen Crobat deck. Yes, I am still very baffled that he played this, but he explained everything, why he played the Yveltal, why he played the Vespiquen, why the Crobats are in there. It's a really good deck. It's very interesting. Major props to him for making this deck. He gives shout out to Ross Gilbert. I think, I don't know if, I can't remember exactly if Ross made it or he made it. They kind of like came up with the idea together. They worked on it. So those 2 guys are great. But it's a very, it can't say straightforward, but it's very, this is what you do, he tells about what matchups you use, what cards. I don't want to give it away, so that way you can watch the video and learn something new. And this is a very crazy deck, Yveltal's got the Oblivion Wing and Darkness Blade, while the Vespiquen has the Be Revenge, and also his top 8 story is crazy. Man, that is the craziest top 8 story I've ever heard. But hopefully through this interview, we saw 3 different decks. We saw Sceptile, which we really haven't seen that much played, and then week 2, we saw him play Scythed Giratina, and everybody thought that deck was pretty much gone in Standard. And in week 3, he does this whole combined 3 different decks kind of scenario: Yveltal, Vespiquen, and Crobat. So all 3 different decks, and that I like actually doing that. That's a lot of fun, playing different decks every weekend. But like I said, he gives a reason why he does it, and they're really great reasoning, so make sure you pay attention to that. But hopefully to this interview, and thanks for watching. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today we're doing another regional sport, and what's your name?
Joe Bernard.
Okay, now I know we have 3 different regionals. Usually it's just one, but this time we're talking about 3 different regionals, which is pretty great. So first off, congratulations on making top 8 at 3 regionals. That's amazing by itself.
Thanks. Yeah.
All right. So I guess the first question is, or I guess the first thing is, what regionals we'll talk about first?
I may as well start at the beginning, I guess. So the first week of regionals, I played Mega Sceptile.
Okay.
It was a deck that no one was really talking about. Basically, the whole concept around Mega Sceptile is it's got 220 HP. You're just going to try and tank, use Super Scoop Ups to take hits. Seeing as though going into the first week, a lot of people were thinking Mega Manectric and Lucario Bats were going to be good. Sceptile has pretty strong matchups there, so I basically wanted to have a strong matchup for those two, and it worked out.
Okay, now how'd you do overall?
Yeah, so that week I came top 8. I pretty much in Swiss I played one Lucario Bat, smashed it. I beat like Metal, Manectric. I beat pretty much everything. I think my loss was to Seismitoad Giratina in Swiss. That was my only loss. And it played Crawdaunt as well, so it basically forced me into the Mega, so that I had the Theta stop. But then I had to chain Hex Maniac, so it's a really difficult matchup there. So basically, yeah, he also played like Flare Grunt, Headringer, all that shaz, all that stuff. So
it's like the standard sized Giratina stuff.
Yeah, super disruption stuff. And yeah, I basically couldn't even attack in like both the games I had against him. He ended up topping as well with it, so it was a good build. I also drew to a Wailord deck somehow. You'd think that's a great matchup for me, but he had like, or she had like Wobbuffet that I can't even one hit because I can't poison it. So she kept Super Scoop upping that. She had Regice, which was like a huge issue for Sceptile.
Wait,
because
she actually played like energies and stuff too, or no?
Yeah, she played like Stevens to get herself into AZ every turn.
Yeah.
And she was actually able to power up a Regice in like our game 2. And because my only Regice counter was the Virizion that we have, it only really does damage when they take prizes. And she was literally just Lysandering around to not take the prize but stay safe. So every Sceptile was on huge damage, and Virizion just couldn't come in to like take the prize. And yeah, she stalled out that game, and then I couldn't win game 3. So game 3, we had like 5 minutes left to go. So shuffling up really fast, she starts Lone Seismitoad. She also played that. She literally had every single thing in there. She had like 2 counts of everything, like Aegislash, Wailord, Regice.
Played all her favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, everything that can wall against anything random, she had a thing for. And yeah, she started Lone Seismitoad. I go first, attach, pass. I have the win in hand that she Crushing Hammerheads is, passes. I do the same thing again, Crushing Hammerheads again. So she had no bench, but for the first 2 turns, she just hits 2 heads. So we end up tying that. But yeah, in top 8, I actually have to face Adam Hawkins. He's the creator of the Sceptile deck.
Okay.
I chose to play Sceptile the morning of the event, and basically we compared list because he had no idea I was playing Sceptile. I just sort of showed him the list thinking like, oh, okay, pretty cool. But then he was like really excited saying like, wow, someone else is actually playing this deck today. So he helped me like change like 6 cards, I think, just before the event. One of the big differences he had to my deck was he played one of the promo Sceptiles, the promo Sceptile EX.
Okay.
It can hit for 130 damage with 3 grass energy, and it's actually ridiculously good in Mirror because you can't poison with Ariados because obviously they're grass types. So I can't even like 2-shot his Megas, whereas he always could. So it went to, we had ridiculous 3 games. Game 1, he donks a Spinnerack for me. Game 2, he sets up nothing and I just win. And then game 3 is the only proper game we have, but he is the promo. So it basically just destroyed me.
But even though he was like, I'm going to be the only Sceptile person, he was still ready for the mirror match.
Yeah, he was prepared somehow. Oh, I don't know.
Alright, well still, I mean, top 8 with Sceptile is amazing. Like, I haven't heard anybody, somebody was like, have you heard about the Sceptile deck that made cut? Did he end up winning?
He ended up winning, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Somebody was like, somebody won with Sceptile. I was like, there's no way. Like, what are you talking about? So there we go. Yeah. Mystery is solved. Sceptile did win a regionals. That's pretty crazy. So
yeah, it may sound like awful against like Night March and stuff, but we both beat them throughout the day. And he also beat like Vespiquen, Crobat, all of these crazy things that it still somehow just stood up to. So it's pretty good.
Yeah. All right. Well, you already talked about the Virizion. I was going to ask what's the Virizion for, but is it just to be uh, 90x attackers?
Just Regice counter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
it's
Regi.
awful, but it's the only thing we have right
Yeah,
now.
that's true. All right. Now, I guess the other question is, you played one Birch and one Shauna, but in the other list, already looked at. You just play like either two Birch or zero Shauna. So why did you play the one Birch and one Shauna? Is there a reason behind in this one?
In the first week, I wanted to have the option to play both whenever both within the discard. You know, sometimes you want to birch just for big hands because you're digging, but you don't want to like discard stuff. Sometimes you just want to refresh in general, so Sean is better. So I like the 1-1 split. I like having two shuffle draw cards. It's a pattern that I have in my first two decks anyway.
Okay.
But I was flipping so well with Birch that I just kept him. I doubled up on him the next week, so yeah.
You just always gotta believe in him. That's what I say.
Yeah. It's the 5.5 on average,
Exactly.
so you know.
That's why you got the 5.5. I try to tell people that they're like, no, I'm just not gonna risk it. I'm like, but if you get 7 cards, it's like a punt. So good.
Yeah.
All right.
When you flip heads, it's the best supporter we have. So
When you flip tails, you just cry. And you're like, I just judged myself, basically.
you just get shaman, it's fine.
You Shauna for 5, Ultra Ball. I mean, no, you Birch for 5, Ultra Ball. Then you're like, okay, I'll just Shaman for 5. It's okay. We're good.
Exactly.
All right. So I guess the Super Scoop Up or just to pick up heavy damage Sceptiles, like you said.
Yeah. Because you can also reattach the energy again with his attack. So you basically reset the clock a whole turn if you flip heads.
Now, okay, I know when I played Mega Sceptile, I opted to play Mega Turbo. I don't see any in this list. Did you ever wish you had any, or was that fine without it?
In my original list the morning of, I did have Mega Turbos in there. I felt like I wanted it against like Rayquaza at the very least, because Rayquaza is a really awful matchup. The only possible conceivable way you win that is if you can out Stadium War them.
Yeah.
I'm playing 3 Forest, so that's pretty unlikely unless he has horrible hands. So I pretty much just sacked the Mega Ray match, thinking that no one would play it. And that was just due to the hype that Mega Manectric was playing. And it worked out okay. I managed to avoid them. There was only a handful of players with Ray on the day. So yeah, I didn't play Mega Turbo. I didn't feel like we needed that sort of speed because normally you just let the active Pokemon take some hits while you manually attach the bench and then you just Super Scoop up. So they either take the prizes on the active thing or they damage it and then you can Super Scoop it up as if nothing's happened. So because nothing really is that prepared to Lysander by turn 2 to kill stuff other than Night March. So yeah.
Okay. Now, was there anything in this tournament that you wished you kind of had? I mean, we talked about the Mega Turbos, but I can't really think of anything else the deck will really need.
I don't think too many changes. One change that Adam had, he didn't play Zerosic, he played 2 Hex. And I think in my loss against Seismitoad Giratina, I would have really loved a second Hex Maniac because under Train Lock I just couldn't find access to my Hex. Yeah. So I had to, I just couldn't win that matchup when I couldn't find Hex Maniac. So yeah, 2 would help out there.
Okay. Now, looking forward, when Breakthrough comes out, is there anything in the new set that you can really see? I can't really think of anything top of my head. Maybe Judge, but besides that...
Judge could easily be subbed for Shauna, or I think I'd still try and sneak a Jirachi Primer in there, just to help March a bit more. Other than that, I think it stays relatively unchanged. I can't think of any better grass types than Virizion, which is still ridiculous because it's so bad, but as soon as you can substitute that as a non-EX attacker, it should be alright.
Okay. Now, going on to your next regionals, where are we at now?
So now we're in Sutton Coldfield, and basically because Sceptile and Night March did well the weekend before, I wanted to go with Seismitoad Giratina, because I saw how good Totina was against Sceptile, just I couldn't even attack against it, and it has an okay Night March, just due to the locking. Sometimes you can just straight up win when you get your first Chaos Wheel going. So again, I'm pretty much a player that likes to have matchups going in. So I try and beat the most popular stuff going into a tournament.
Yeah.
That's how I try and scout metagames and do stuff like that. So Again, in Swiss, I was undefeated. I was 502. So I beat, I think it was three night march in, no, two. I beat two night march in Swiss, tied to one night march. I won two mirror matches, which is really cool. Basically, I just never took six prizes. I always milled them. You can see I've got Bunnelby in there. And basically, I just spam Zerosic and Flare Grunt, VS Seeker, all of those things back until they have nothing, and then I just drop the Bunnelby. I did that. I did that a lot. I was a scumbag on the day, honestly. It was mean. I had a game where I was against Jono. He was the guy who top cutted with Totina the weekend before. And we were both at the point where we were both draw passing, and we had like 28 card hands each.
Yeah.
And then I just bench Bunnelby, AZ up my Giratina, attached DCE, borrow twice, and he just looked at me with so much hate in his eyes.
So dirty.
Yeah,
It's perfect because it wasn't prized either. It's just in your hand, just chilling. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was in my hand like 15 turns before. I just didn't want the energy to get denied, so because basically in that matchup, whenever you attach a single energy, it will be gone after one attack. So I think I literally attacked twice. It was one Quaking Punch when I Lysandered Hooper so that I could break his lock, and then I took off the energy off his Toad with hammers, and then I waited the rest of the game until I burrowed. Yeah. It's just silly.
That's how you beat the mirror match. You just burrow. That's it.
Burrow, yeah. Not a lot of people were playing Bunnelby week 2. It was something I picked up on week 1. And, if they play 7 or 8 energy, it's so easy to deny that with that much disruption cards that you just borrow them.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
And then I had a mirror match again in top 8, did the exact same thing. And, yeah, seriously, it was just my tried and tested method. I was playtesting with Jack Old, the other guy who's on my channel, Omnipoke, by the way. I have a YouTube channel.
There you go.
Check that out. I was testing with him all week, just the mirror match. It was the most boring thing we ever had to sit through. But it was like the only method that we could consistently win games was to not even take prizes, just go for the burrow option.
Yeah.
So I did that in top 8. And then in top 4, I was up against Luke Kirkham. He was playing regular Manectric with bats, and it's quite an interesting matchup. I actually beat him in Swiss earlier in the day because game 1 I ran really hot on Crushing Hammer. I think I hit 3, and that just really hurts, especially with Headringers on. It's like, because it's regular Manectric, he has no acceleration.
Yeah.
So he just couldn't do much. And then in our best of 3, because he played Headringers as well. I think he played like 3 of them. So it's literally a matchup of getting Headringer on. Game 1, he was able to do it, so I lost. Game 2, I was able to do it, so he lost. Game 3 actually went to time, and he won on the last turn of time by... he had run me out of energy. My last prize was double colourless, so I couldn't use Burrow, which would have won me the game. Again, so scumbaggy. But he was able to Crobat drop, Lysander, Shaman, and he had a muscle-banded Manectric, and he attached his last energy to win on the last turn of time.
Dang. Alright. That was top 4, you said?
Yeah, that was top 4.
Okay. So you went from top 8, then to top 4. Okay.
Yeah, and again, he went on to win the tournament as well.
So you got a pattern. If you're not winning, your opponent's going to win out.
Winning or losing to the winner, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Feels good.
I mean, your list is, I hate to say, like, pretty standard.
Seriously standard, yeah.
I guess the only question I can have is, some people opt to play Silent Lab instead of Faded Town. Did you ever wish there was a time you did play Silent Lab? I guess it's the only thing I can really see the difference.
Never wanted Silent Lab. I think the only time I would have wanted a different stadium was the Team Aqua one. Basically, in week 2, I never played any mega decks, so Faded Town was literally, it could have been a paint roller, it did nothing for me. It was just discard your opponent's stadium. But the Aqua one can really annoy, like, if you Lysander Shamans, It's an extra retreat cost. They have to burn like DCs and stuff just to move out of there. Or like you'll try and deny Sky Return as well with Headringers, of course, because I'm a troll like that. Just so brutal.
You're just a Sizeto Giratina player. That's it.
Well, I'm not. I really played Disruption, but I pretty much had my fill now. I was a real dick that day. So yeah, the Aqua Stadium, it means you can even capture like Crobats and stuff, and they have to pay retreat.
Yeah.
So against Luke, it could have won me games, I think.
Okay. Now, same question before. Do you think anything with Breakthrough you could add to this deck? I know Breakthrough changes this deck for sure with Jirachi, like I said earlier, but could you see like adding regular energies to maybe beat Jirachi, or do you think it's just a bad matchup?
I'd be really hesitant to play this deck if Jirachi gets big enough. I think maybe the first week when people still don't have access to Jirachi, because in the UK it's still quite difficult to get Jirachis right now. I think people are trying their best, but I think only a handful of people will have it by the first week. So Toatina will still be good next weekend. I think the only real changes you could make to the deck, I guess you could play regular energy, but it's still really slow. I think you just have to play like 1 or 2 escape ropes and maybe a higher Lysander count to try and deal with it as quickly as possible. But even then, Toad can't one-hit Jirachi, so it's super awkward.
Yeah.
Really difficult. I can't see it succeeding with Jirachi if people actually play that card. So
you can just play Escape Rope to Giovanni Scheme. There you go. That's how you knock it out.
Yeah, but you need to Lysander it as you
you just Escape Rope it and bring it up. That's what you're going to do. You just hope your opponent just has that one Pokemon on the bench, and
hope
that's
that he benches it, doesn't use it. Yeah. Great plays.
I don't know. That's the only thing I could think of.
Yeah. See, that's how bad it is.
Now, do you think, Parallel City could see any play in this deck at all if Jirachi is not big?
Not Jirachi. Parallel City could be a great stadium. Like I say, Parallel, what's it called? Faded Town did nothing for me. Parallel could be really good. Yeah.
Alright, so that's pretty much Sizeto Giratina. It's always standard, Crushing Hammers, Enhanced Hammers. Or standard, it's just up to you to make your own counts, like in every deck. Now, going on to third weekend, where are we at now?
Now we're in London, capital city. And I decided to play Yveltal, Vespiquen, Crobat.
I feel like I'm still getting trolled. Alright, so before we talk about the deck, what happened overall? I know this is the past weekend, so it's pretty fresh. I
picked the deck because in the week you saw in Sutton Coldfield there was 3 Night March and 3 Totina in the top 8. So again, those were the 2 decks that I'm targeting to beat. So I went for Baby Yveltal to use acceleration each turn to outrun a Totina's hammers, and also it has 130 HP, so even Tina can't one-hit. So it sticks around for quite a while, especially for a non-EX. It's really awkward for them. And then I wanted to beat Night March, so I had, again, Baby Yveltal one-shots Pumpkaboo and Joltik, thanks to weakness, and then you have Bats for extra kills on Feebas or other Joltiks and stuff like that. The only thing it lacked was a real good late game attacker, because if I didn't play those 2 matchups, I feel like your output is shoddy. You absolutely need to have something there. So Vespiquen sort of fills that void by just dumping things that you don't need in certain matchups, and then you start swinging with B Revenge. So what did I play up against? Round 1 I had a bye because the tournament was playing VGC. There was a VGC regional at the same time, and my opponent was actually sat on those tables. So I was at table 42, waiting for my opponent, along with every other person, and my opponent was sat by the VGC side, just with his hand up, waiting for a judge. So that's how I won round 1.
Wait, so what happened to your opponent? Did he get a bye too, or what?
No, well, it wasn't a bye. It was like he just didn't show up, so I got the win. He carried on playing the rest of the tournament. So it wasn't really a bye. He just, sat at the wrong table on his own. Don't believe it.
Oh, so he made the mistake. Okay. Just making
sure.
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know if, for some reason, the judge told him to sit over there.
No. he just somehow missed the 100 people sat down and just thought, oh, there's a table 42 here. I must be here. Yeah. So that was a good win.
So just lesson learned, make sure you pay attention to where VGC and TCG are. It's a very noticeable difference.
I don't know how he did it, honestly.
Was VGC going at the same time or no?
No, they were queuing up to register still. We started before them. It's beyond me. Anyway.
Okay. All right. Round 2.
So round 2 I had Fighting Bats. It's not the easiest matchup, but you do have resistance with Yveltal, so they really have to commit with Lucario. And then once they go into Lucario, you can use Crobat to hit for weakness, so you do 100 with Muscle Band. Obviously, the whole time you can add damage with Bat Drops and stuff, so it ended up being quite favourable. I just sort of took out a couple of Lucario, and then by that time in the game, Vespiquen can hit anything for one shot. I also, in one of the games, used a Swoop Across to break 2 sashes at once and kill the active Lucario, which was my favourite play of the day.
That's dirty. Not only did you break the sashes, you took a knockout on the active.
Yeah. And then again, I played Luke Kirkham again in round 3. That was my only loss of the whole day. So he's the only person to beat me in the last 2 weeks. He was playing the same deck. Manectric Bats is a pretty good matchup against me. It hits for weakness on everything other than Vespiquen, and even then, Combie's got 40 HP, so he can Bat Drop plus Assault Laser to kill stuff, and even Muscle Band Lysander kills them. So I managed to win game 1 just because turn 1 I got double Combie down. Turn 2 I was one-hitting his Manectrics, so he just scooped. I know, I ran super hot. It was ridiculous.
How many Pokemon do you need in the discard pile? You need 13.
I YOLO'd it, yeah. I fully went for it just to take all of his energy off the board with Vespiquen. And then at that point, because again, I knew his deck inside and out by this point, he has no acceleration of any sort. So once his active Manectric went down with 2 energy, he couldn't set up another one, so I could just again attack, then Lysander for game. But in the next 2 games, his deck sets up and does what it's meant to do, kills my Combies, and I can't do anything. I literally ran out of attackers to do anything. Crazy. In both games. I think I ended up, in game 3, I ended up with 1 prize remaining, but my only attackers were Shamans. So.
You got a Sky Return to Zubat.
Yeah. I did. It was awful. I ran out of VSE because I only played 1 Lysander because you have to make so many cuts to fit the Pokemon in. So I was out of Lysander and 4 VS Seeker. And I was 1 prize away, and his Milk Tank had 50 damage on it, and I was trying to Sky Return my way through the game, but obviously he knew, so he just moved around. But yeah, those were really close games. Again, he beats me on turn 3 of time. Scumbag.
He's dirty.
He's worse than me. So what else do I play? I beat a Night March. I draw to a Fighting Bats just because you saw earlier in the rounds I beat a Fighting Bats really easily. But this time round I had a really rough game 2, couldn't set up anything at all. But I felt how confident I was in the matchup that I should carry on the game. So I spent probably an extra 15 minutes in a game that I should have scooped earlier. Thinking that I could bring it back, especially because Vespiquen has so much comeback potential, because that's the sort of point in the game where he just gets ridiculous. But I couldn't end up winning that game, so I scooped maybe 10-15 minutes too late, and it pretty much cost me game 3 because he was able to stall out while I had 2 prizes to go and just couldn't take them all at once. So that was a tie, which was kind of frustrating because I felt I had the matchup and I didn't manage my time well enough. So at that point, I'm at 3-1-1, needing to win out my next few rounds. So then I face Seismitoad Giratina, managed to win that. It's basically the situation against Toadtina where Vespiquen threatens so much damage on Toad that they're really trying not to use Toad as much as they can, really. They need to set up Giratina. But obviously that takes 2 energy attachments per time. So basically what I need to do is set up 2 Combee with enough basic Dark Energy, because obviously I can't attach DCE, so that when he eventually kills my active Yveltal or my active Vespiquen that's just dealt with their Seismitoad, I need to have enough things in play that can deal with the upcoming Giratina. If I'm able to do that, I can just, run through the rest of the game because he can't get another attacker going. But it's always about crushing hammer flips. If he can kill my active Vespiquen at the same point of getting rid of both my Combee's dark energies, he'll just win the game. And it was against Ben Pollock, and he just couldn't flip the heads that he needed to. And then in game 2, he was milling through his entire deck, needing to get Giratina going, and he was down to 8 cards and couldn't hit any of his double dragons. All 4 were in the bottom 8 cards. So I beat him 2-0 there.
It's like the worst. Like, the double dragons are in there, but you just don't draw them.
Yeah, it's awful. It's awful.
I guess luck was just on your side that round.
Yeah. I mean, I won the first game, so I knew how to navigate the matchup. But it definitely could have been a lot more awkward for me had he had obviously been attacking. He just, on that crucial turn where he had to Chaos Wheel, he couldn't do it. So then I beat another Night March and make it to top 8, where I face a Mega Gengar deck, another really weird rogue deck. Don't do that. The UK is creative.
No. I was just saying, like, Evital, Vespiquen versus a Mega Gengar. I'm like, what's going on
it's good for me.
Like, what's going on here? Like,
I know there were people watching that matchup. Like,
I mean, regardless, it seems like it's in your favor.
It does seem like it's in my favor. So it's kind of like a mishmash of regular. Well, obviously it uses against like Night March and stuff. It's got the 4 Robo Subs. It's got loads of Wobbuffets, and you just try and move your Gengar out of the active whenever you can. But then it's a really cool deck idea because you're obviously denying abilities, and then you have the Mega for the Totina matchup. You basically copy Chaos Wheel so that they can't attach any of their energy and can't attack the whole game. It's pretty sick.
Don't get me wrong, I love the idea of Mega Gengar because I love Zoroark Break, which are kind of the same thing. So, I was just saying, that is just...
It's mad that someone got that working.
Exactly,
so
yeah. I just haven't seen it work.
For Zoroark, I think. Yeah. It makes Zoroark look good in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But yeah, I ended up losing game 1 because I play a 3-3-2 bat line, and I ended up having to Sycamore one of my Golbats and one of my Crobats away. And they're probably one of my best attackers in that matchup because I can do it for free with Dimension Valley. And Gengar can't one-shot me, and I get the extra bonuses of sneaky and surprise bites. I have weakness on Wobbuffet and stuff, so those were super clutch. I just couldn't get them going in the opening game. And he kept using Wobbuffet with a Muscle Band to put the initial 30 on Yveltal, and then he would come in with Mega Gengar and steal my Oblivion Wing to hit the 100.
Thank you for a knockout, yeah.
And in game 1, he hit all 4 Crushing Hammerheads, which again, he plays the disruption stuff. And
not only does he fit the Megas, oh my goodness, this is a...
Yeah. And he hit 2 heads on my Darkness Blade attack that he stole, so he could keep using that attack. It was dirty. The only thing I couldn't do in that matchup was put down Shaymins. Obviously Wobbuffet, so most of the time I didn't want to, but when he had Robo Subs up, I couldn't put Shaymin because then the Mega can Sky Return. So there's so many things in that matchup that you have to be aware of. It was so bizarre having to learn that matchup as you played.
Yeah.
It's can I ever put a card like this down? How can he use this against me?
But
yeah,
it also seems like a lot of fun at the same time.
It was a really fun best of 3. Really bizarre. So game 2 was pretty basic for me. I got set up with enough bats. The numbers are fairly good. Obviously, you hit for weakness on stuff. I was able to set up enough energy where I could use Oblivion Wings to Lysander up Gengars and kill them. So game 2 was quite easy. Game 3, he dead draws. He Shaunas himself. He played 3 or 4 Shauna just because Wobbuffet means that he could only play 1 Shaymin, and he obviously wasn't playing it when Wobbuffet's active. Yeah. He basically had a Wobbuffet stuck for 4 turns as he just drew past, and it meant that I could skill dive to kill one of his bench Gengars. So he lost all energy from his board. Again, such weird games. Just things you don't...
I just thought of this too. In your regionals right now, Floatstone's not even legal.
Floatstone's not legal. So he played at least two Switch, and a lot of Mystery Energy.
Yeah.
But he had 2 Mystery Energy attached to his Gengar at the time, so he was struggling to move Wobbuffet, and I just took advantage of that, basically. Until he finally drew into Sycamore and got rid of, like, loads of rubbish.
Yeah. But by then, I think you were just too far ahead. Like,
by then I was ahead, yeah. And I had enough energy on the board through, like, Oblivion Wing and stuff like that, that everything was set up to kill everything else. So I ended up winning that game.
There you go.
And then in top 4, I'm up against Fraser. It's actually on stream. Terry Goodacre is someone from the UK as well who I want to shout out. He does Kyogre Streams UK is the channel for Twitch, and he goes to pretty much every major event in the UK and streams them. So this match was on stream. And
does he post on YouTube or anything?
He gives the footage to Ross Gilbert, PTCG Radio, who then commentates it.
Okay. And once Rod ties it up, it'll be down below, of course, unless the already is up.
I think it is up, yeah. I think it's up.
Okay.
So top 4 was up against Night March, and the deck is meant to beat Night March. So, you guys can just watch that, I guess. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, it should be like a cakewalk. Unless you dead draw, then besides that, I think...
Well, yeah, the awkward thing is... Game 2, we both have awful prizes. I won't say any more than that, but our prizes on both ends are absolutely disgusting. So it's not as easy for either of us to win that game. So yeah, I'll leave you in suspense for that. And then the final, I'm up against Nathan McClure, and he's playing Night March as well. The unfortunate thing is he had to leave because it was like 20 past 10 at the time, and his last train was at like 30:30. And he knew what I was playing, I knew what he was playing, and he was like, "Have you beaten Night March today?" And I said, "Yeah, I've beaten 3 already." So he was like, "Yeah, I'm just going to go." Because otherwise he couldn't get home. We actually had a game today on PTCGO. We had like an agreement that I wouldn't open some of my packs, because obviously I was named the official winner because he scooped to me. I left like the 12 extra packs sealed, so that if he beat me, I'd give them to him next weekend. But I smashed him.
Once again, it seems like it's a cakewalk, like unless you dead draw.
Yeah, as long as I can draw averagely well, it's an easy game.
So what do we learn from this?
Though, he and Corey Kirkham as well, another Night March player, they both played Target Whistle to try and get Shaman back, and then you can also have my Milotic to recover Target Whistle. So they have the outs sometimes, so that's how they like got through awkward matchups throughout Swiss and Top Cut, just because people want to dump their Shaman against Night March. It's like, oh, this is... Yeah, it was pretty creative.
And it's pretty dirty, too, because like, especially if you don't know they're playing Target Whistle, and you're like, I'm not going to put this down because they're a light center up, and now you're like, Ultra Ball, discard Shaman, and they're like, oh, yeah.
A lot of people do it, yeah. Luckily, I knew, because Corey did it. Well, in Swiss, he Sycamored away Target Whistle on his first hand, and I was like, wow, okay, I need to watch out for that. So then every other Night March player, I didn't discard a single Shaman.
Just in case.
Just in case, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Man. Well, congratulations on winning. So you got the top 8, and you got the top 4. Like, if there's another regionals, how do you advance past that?
I wouldn't mind winning again. That would be okay. I'll accept that.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, it seems great. All right. Well, I mean, you pretty much talked about everything about your deck. I'm trying to think. I don't know. It doesn't it's not too crazy. It's just the Vespiquen, which you've already explained pretty.
It's as streamlined as it can really get. I think the Pokemon line was the thing I tried to play around with the most. Patrick, I don't know his surname. It's either Rati or Ratty. I don't know how to pronounce it. But he came in week 1. He came second with Vespiquen Bronzong bats, and he had like a 32 Pokemon count, which is just ridiculous. So that was the main thing I started doing. I started high and started cutting as low as I could in terms of cutting down from 4 Shaman to 2, from 4 Unknown to 0. It made me a lot worse against like mega decks, but overall it just meant that I had more consistency cards like Trainers Mails, VS Seekers. I had to have every supporter I had. I have loads of one-off supporters because you need them, but you can't play more than them just because of the space.
Yeah.
What else is there to say, really?
I mean,
I don't know.
even though you play like the one of supporters, you play the 4 battle compressor, which is great because with
Yeah,
4 compressor and
basically,
4 VS seeker, you're good.
basically, you compress away either ones you don't need, or the first one you get rid of is teammates. I always did teammates first. It was like my best supporter all day, because you can see how clunky it could look, but then teammates get you the right things at the right time, so it works out pretty okay.
Okay, all right. Now coming up with breakthrough, would there be any changes you'd make to this?
Um, Again, I think it's the case of maybe slapping in Jirachi. I feel like you're already got good Night March and Totina matchups, but those can again be ridiculously good there. Um, you could maybe play around with the bat line, I guess. It depends what really sees play. Um, I feel if like Metal Tina and stuff's around, you might need to change your lines, maybe throw in Evolutions all over again. Vespiqun's one of these decks that you sort of need to react to what people are playing. He sort of always needs a partner, but it's not necessarily those ones all the time.
Hmm.
You just change to how or whatever other people were playing.
Okay, all right.
Maybe Zoroark. Zoroark could be fun in there.
Zorg is a great card overall. You already proved it with Mega Gengar. That
Yeah,
just
exactly.
you just play Zorg Break and you're good to go.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess a question overall is, what was your favorite deck over these past 3 regionals? I mean, we've seen the Mega Sceptile, the Toad Giratina, and the Evital Vespiquen.
I feel like the Yveltal Vespiquen Bats is probably the most. It's my favorite because it's the most like personally mine. I feel like it was one that I sort of came up with. I spoke to Ross Gilbert in the week, saying that I was going to be playing Yveltal Bats, and he basically suggested he was going to be playing Yveltal Vespiquen, but he was going to have it with Evolutions. So we basically crafted the deck together throughout the whole week. So we really put a lot of thought into that last deck. So I feel like that one's, although it did the best for me as well. So it felt like the most personally mine. Like Totina's super standard; anyone can pick up and play Totina. Sceptile's creative, but it was kind of like I just sort of winged it on the day, and it did okay. Um, and then the Yveltal Crobat Vespiquen. It's like Vengeance is kind of my thing as well. The only other tournament that I've won was Flareon back in the day when it first came out.
Okay.
So I like the Vengeance stuff. That feels like, yeah, it's pretty good for me.
Okay. All right. So coming up in the next format, Breakthrough legal in like 3 days or 4 days, whatever it is.
Sure.
Are you going to regionals this weekend?
Yes, Newport in Wales.
Okay, and so it'll be the first big tournament with Breakthrough. That's crazy. So,
Yeah.
what are the talked about decks? Because nobody has really talked about what decks they think are going to be popular. But with the regionals coming up, it seems like everybody will be testing like crazy.
Yeah, I feel like it won't be drastically different from what we're seeing. Although, like, until people start picking up Jirachis, I think we have to assume that Night March will still be super popular. I think maybe some newer stuff like Yveltal could come back with Zoroark. I know you've just profiled that. It looks quite good, that deck. Uh,
It's my favorite. I love it. I don't know. I've had a lot of fun with it. Just being able to copy any
Yeah.
attack.
yeah, even like the funniest one is Common Hooper. That's just crazy. Lysander Hooper, Snipe. It's
Alright.
great.
Just let you know,
Uh,
guys. Just let you know, guys. Don't hit for weakness on Hoopa in the active spot. I don't know why, but I thought you
Oh,
could
no.
for some reason.
That would be sick, but no. What else? I feel like if people can get their hands on Jirachi, Mega Manectric is probably good, because one of the reasons Mega Man's not doing well is because it has a poor Night March matchup. At least in the UK right now, they're playing like loads of Night Marchers in the UK are playing 3 or 4 Hex Maniac to chain Hex each turn.
Yeah.
So Mega Man can really struggle to set up, have enough energy even to attach each turn to keep up with it. So if you can play a couple of Jirachi in that, it seems pretty good. Magnezone Raikou, I'm not convinced by it just because of Hex, but some people might want to play that. The Tyrantrum seems fun. It hits good numbers. You can still play Giratina, so there's quite a few options. Maybe even Sceptile. Sceptile's one I want to play around with. It might be the deck I take next weekend.
Would it be close to the one that you already played?
pretty close. Jirachi would be one of the only changes.
You got yourself. You got a hold of one of the Jirachis.
Oh yeah, got 3.
There you go.
I'm set.
They're pretty easy to get over here in America. You just walk
Oh,
in
I
the
have
store.
to get mine from the Czech Republic. Yeah.
It's okay. Y'all had a Lucario or something a couple years ago that only the UK had, or some kind of fighting Pokemon. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it's some fighting Pokemon that you can only get in the UK.
Oh, lucky us. We don't get playmats or trophies, but we get Lucario.
I think it was Lucario. No, it was Landorus. It was Plasma Landorus. That was the one.
Oh, that was a good card, actually.
Yeah, that was the one that you can only get in the UK, and we had to spend like $20-$30 to get.
Was that like the TDK counter card? I think he
Yes.
did it to kill. Yeah. He killed Thunderuses with it. Yeah.
So it's all fair. We get the Jirachis. I got that a couple years ago, so we're just taking turns.
Oh
Pokemon
yeah,
doesn't
sure.
make any sense. I don't know why we just don't release stuff in the same place. I guess that's too hard. I don't.
Mhm.
Okay. So you know, Sceptile is what you're looking into. Besides that, what would be your second deck? You would think.
I want to try out either Yveltal with Zoroark or Yveltal with Gallade. Gallade with a Maxi combo seems really cool. I just really like Gallade. It has the combo potential with Yveltal because you sort of counter the weakness that it has. You can Y-Cyclone DC onto Gallade to fulfill his attack cost. And that Premonition is just so good.
Yeah.
It just makes you hit VS Seeker, makes you hit DC each turn, so it seems pretty sick if you can get that working. I know it's a bit harder in Standard right now because we don't have like Jirachi EX or a computer search, so it's a kind of bit more awkward to get it going. But it's such a strong stage 2.
So enough about tournaments. How many championship points are you at right now?
I'm on 330.
Well, you know,
Second in the UK right now.
second in the UK. Okay.
Luke Kirkham, the guy who beats me every time. He's number 1 for a reason.
Luke is on a rampage. I know he made it to Worlds last year, and
Yeah.
he's just continued the trend. There we go. So congrats to Luke. But besides that, what do you think is your goal? I mean, we don't know championship points. We don't know how many you need for Worlds, or if they're doing top 16 or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love it to be 300. That would be cool. I don't know. I'm going to keep playing. I might play some more fun stuff. I normally like to come up with weird things, like metagame calls most weeks. So, I'll just keep going to tournaments. I'm going to Wales this weekend and then one more the following weekend. That's it for regionals this side of the year. And then come New Year, there's a bunch more that I'm going to try and go to as well. So I'm going to go to as many as possible.
Okay, here's always a scenario I like to ask. If you win 4 first regional wins, do you still go to regionals to pick people from not getting points?
That's pretty harsh.
So that way they don't
I've
get
got
above
one of
you in the ranking to keep your placement.
That's I don't know about that. I don't know. It depends who I'm trying to kick out, I guess. There might be a handful of people I don't want going. But no, everyone in the UK is cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Do that.
Alrighty. Well, I think we've talked about pretty much everything about Breakthrough and every set that you want to talk about. But do you want to give any shout-outs to anybody?
Yeah, I've shouted out a couple already, but I'll just go back over it. So, Team Cake, that's Jake Wolvin, Adam Hawkins, Ben Patolsky, Nick Pierce. They're really cool guys. They helped me out with the Sceptile deck, so huge props to them. Terry Goodacre, the UK stream guy. It's called Kyogre Streams UK. So check out those if you want to see. He goes to most weekends to some sort of event. So really good streams there. Ross Gilbert, PTCG Radio. Again, he helped me with the Well, he gave me the idea for Vespiquen. His list was pretty bad, but we tweaked it the whole week, and it eventually did well and got me my win. So thanks so much to that. And then finally, Jack Old. He's my main play testing partner. And he's the other guy on my own channel, which I'll also shout out. Omnipoke, guys, go subscribe to me. I'm like the English squeaky.
Hey, there you go. But down below, we'll have links to everything, so, you know.
Thank you.
So you don't have to type it out, you'll be good to go. I'll put yours number 1, of course, that way they'll click on it first. So. Go check them out. Pretty great. But thanks once again to this interview. Congrats on getting 3 placements. Do you have your 4th yet or no?
What's that?
Do you have your 4th placement already for regionals?
No, we've only had 3 regionals.
Oh, okay. Well, just go get your 4th placement this weekend. You'll be good to go.
Yeah, why not?
It seems easy enough. You've done it for the past 3 weekends, so there you go.
Yeah, I'm on a bit of a hot streak. I'll take my chances.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great day. And thank you once again for Joe doing the interview.
No problem.
See everybody later. Alrighty, bye.